You know, this idea that we all should agree is really destructive to good teams. The best teams find ways to disagree constructively so that all the ideas can be on the table and the best ideas can be executed. And that's part of this idea of reluctance to simplify. I'm going to tell you a story about a situation that we had this year in the Juventus. We were looking for a lost man. There was a strategy in place that was a good strategy. It was aligned with search strategy, and we were brought into the situation and told what to do. The search coordinator, a guy named Brian, laid out a very careful search strategy and told us exactly what to do, and then asked if there were any questions. Kevin spoke up. He said, I think this is all wrong. I think we're going about it in the wrong way, and we're not going to find him if we do it this way. It was a pretty direct confrontation and pretty tense for just a moment. And Brian's paused for a minute and said, okay, say more about that. Tell me more about that. He asked several non-threatening kinds of questions. Please clarify this for me. Help me understand why. And after they had talked about it for 3 or 4 minutes, to his credit, he said, you know, I think you're right. I think we ought to approach it your way and not my way. As a result, we had good results. As a result, later that evening, the person was found. And I think it was largely due to the fact that we were able to disagree, bring in a new set of ideas, try that new set of ideas without reservation, without defensiveness, and execute that idea. How many teams have the ability to do that? Only highly reliable teams do. A highly reliable team is also very reluctant to simplify. Now, you remember in the first lessons that we did, we talked about complex problems, and we talked a little bit about the thing called complexity theory. Complexity theory assumes that everything in the world, really everything in the world, is nonlinear. That is, that the concept of linearity, of a single line going in a single direction, is really something that humans came up with, but it doesn't really exist in nature. A perfect sphere, a perfect circle, a perfect square does not exist in nature. And thus, a simple problem does not exist in nature. Well, teams that think that something is going to be easy, that we're going to be able to put this together quickly, that we're going to solve it quickly, that's sometimes true. In fact, that's often true. But if you assume that, you can get into big trouble. You can go home early. You can get people off the mountain early. You can send one of the classic problems, and we on our team avoid it like the plague, is that people start coming down off the mountain, and there's one small group of people, and they're way up the mountain, and they're going to be the last ones down. And so you send everyone home. And then that team coming down needs help. That team coming down has an injury. That team coming down finds 5 patients that need critical medical attention, and you just sent your team home. You thought it was going to be simple. So, highly reliable teams are reluctant to simplify. They will not take those steps to make something simple that's not. They want it to be, they assume that it's going to be complex, that it's going to be a complex problem. And when it's not, we're all happy about it. But when it is, we're ready for it, and that's the important thing. Hope this was helpful. Thanks.